We are live.
Are we live?
Yes.
Hello.
It's Charlotte and Jessica.
That's right.
We're here at Aragon Wine Market. Another week of our virtual wine tastings. Hopefully, not too much longer, we'll be able to see everybody in the wine store for our wine tastings. But in the meantime, this has actually been quite fun, and we've enjoyed doing something different.
Yeah.
How it works is we choose a wine or two in this case, and we tell you what it's going to be. Everybody goes and grabs a bottle, and then participates.
Thank you so much for your participation this week, because everyone is really.
We actually sold out of the wines. Yeah, we're taking orders. Sold out twice.
Yes.
Which is great. You know, it's a beautiful bottle. I think that had a lot to do with it, and it's an even more beautiful wine. So that's kind of pretty neat. And so what we're doing this week is the Wölffer Estate Rosés. They make a good many, but we've always had the one from Argentina, the Finca Wölffer, in the store for quite some time, and then became infatuated with the Summer in a Bottle, which is the one you see in front of us right now. They're both delicious rosés. We're going to have somebody tell us a little bit more about them, about the estate, and about the different rosés in just a second. I want to kind of talk a little bit about rosé in general. I think there is a misconception about rosés out there. A lot of times when I suggest a rosé for somebody, the first thing they say is, "Oh no, I don't like sweet."
Absolutely.
And so what I say is, well, you need to try this, because this is not sweet at all.
Yes.
I think in the 1970s, White Zinfandel became really popular, and it was very sugary, very sweet. And it kind of got a bad rap for rosés.
I agree.
But you haven't tried rosé if you haven't tried a dry rosé, because that's what these are. And that's what we've got in front of us today.
Yes.
So
it's funny that you say that. We actually had a customer come in earlier in the week and we're shopping, and we're talking about rosés, and she laughed and she said, "That reminds me of being in college, and oh, aren't they all so sweet?" And that was exactly that, just opening up the dialogue of, wait, well, actually, no, they're not all sweet. Much like you can roll through a Riesling that's drier and, and all the way through the Moscatos.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily inherently sweet. So definitely a misconception, and something we'd love to make suggestions for.
Yeah,
and this is a perfect one.
Yeah. Well, and actually, when I opened the store 11 years ago, 11 and a half years ago, rosés were more popular than white wine in France, and I'm sure that's still the case. So it was red wines, rosés, and then white wines in popularity. And I think that the states are catching up with that. I'd say in the last maybe 5 years, we've really sold a lot of rosés. They've really gotten trendy.
Rosé all day.
You see the shirts and everything. So hopefully it's not a fad like Americans tend to do sometimes.
That's right.
And get trendy on something and then move on to something else. But I don't think so. I think that rosés are just, they're here to stay. And I think it's wonderful that we've finally kind of really discovered them.
Yeah.
So Wölffer Estate, we've got a couple of special guests joining us. Michael Fix, who is, I'm going to put him in the queue. There he is. Hi,
hello.
What else this summer like sunglasses and Guy Harvey, huh?
Guy Harvey glass. Yeah.
So Michael is my wine bow rep, and he's awesome, one of my faves. And he's here, and also joining us is Allison. There's Allison, and Allison represents Wölffer Estate, and she's going to be able to tell us a whole lot about the two different wines that we'll be trying tonight. We're going to maybe ask you, Allison, a little bit about Wölffer Estate. It's in New York, correct?
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, so we are located in the heart of the Hamptons, Long Island, New York. We're about 2 hours from the city. So if you're familiar with New York City, you just jump on the LIE and you're 2 hours, or what some people might call out east. So you go all the way east and you find the Hamptons, which are these really just relaxed town in the heart of the Hamptons. And we're in Sagaponack. So if you take the main highway through, we're in Sagaponack, and we're 125 acres, 55 under vine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fascinating to me. So 155 total acres, or how many?
100.
Yeah. And so a larger portion of the estate has horses and all kinds of incredible stables and all kinds of other elements to it, not just the winery, which was fascinating to me as we started researching this.
Yes, absolutely. So we planted our first grapes in 1991, and we decided that we were going to build a winery there. And we have one of the best wineries on the East Coast. If you're ever out there, definitely pay to visit. It is this Tuscan-inspired, beautiful, beautiful estate with just this porch that overlooks the vines, and you're just fully engulfed by the vine. But besides that, what we have on the other side, just around the corner, is a wine stand, farm stand, where in the summertime people come in, they grab our amazing summer in a bottle rosé, and they take it right out back and they lay a blanket down, and we have live music on Fridays and Saturdays. So that's like a really cool spectacle. And it also enhances like kind of what we do with the summer in a bottle. We bring that energy and that atmosphere to the winery as well. And there's kids and there's families. It's really a family fun place, but it's really another part of the acreage of the estate. And then we also have our founder, Christian Wölffer, his home and the childhood home that the kids who now own the winery, he passed away about 11 years ago, Christian Wölffer did. Their kids still have their family home on the estate that he had built there for them in the midst of the vines as well. And then, yes, you'll see the horse on the front of our label.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have an amazing riding stables and private stables there for people to ride horses as well. So, and then some of our other wines in our portfolio are named after horses that have been kept there as well. But just like a really great, what you see with Summer in a Bottle is just the emphasis of the winery itself, fully immersed, and the energy that kind of reflects that as well.
That's very cool. How long have y'all been established?
So we've been established, we planted our first grapes in 1991, and we bought the property in 1988. So when Christian Wölffer, he was at a cocktail party, and he decided, he had a friend that was growing grapes, so he decided, you know what, I think I can do that too. And he initially found the land out there in Sagaponack, and he bought it as a potato farm, which was really crazy to think that it is a potato farm. And now it's this world-renowned winery that's one of the highest rated on the East Coast.
That was something that was really, really interesting to me, because when I think of potatoes and just like kind of depleting everything from the ground and from the soil, you know, it's vastly different from the production of vines. And so I thought that was so cool, and in the way that you guys have developed those and brought over that kind of European style of some of the vineyards to over here in upstate New York.
Yeah, our winemaker is of German descent, so is Christian Wölffer. So he brings that European, but a little bit of a more new world style as well. He's really into blending, as you'll see, we'll talk about with the Summer in a Bottle. And he really brings just like the winemaker and our vineyard manager, they are super in tune with the energy of the vineyard and kind of just like letting things more sustainable. So we do things very naturally. We let kind of the nature take its course in the production of everything. And the land is just meticulously run. We do everything by hand, which is amazing. There's not a lot of wineries that do that. We hand sort, we hand pick. Everything is just very intimately done, which I think reflects a lot of quality in the wine as well, which you'll see.
So I've never traveled to that part of that neck of the woods. What kind of what grapes do you grow up there mostly? What's predominantly?
So there are only, out of the North and the South Fork, we're on the South Fork, and there's only 3 wineries there, and then the rest are bonded on the other side. So the predominant grapes that we grow at Wölffer Estate are Merlot, Cab Franc, Chardonnay, a little bit of Cab Sauvignon. We have a tad of Trebbiano, and then a little bit, I believe I hit them all. Chardonnay, Merlot, Cab Franc, Cab Sauvignon, Trebbiano. Yes, that's it. So those are the ones we mainly grow. And anything else that you'll see, as we'll talk about in the Summer in a Bottle, we get a little bit from upstate as well in the Finger Lakes area. We
also have the white blend that you do, that's tasty. I think it's Chardonnay based.
Yeah, predominantly Chardonnay, and then you have a little bit of Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, and then Gewürz. So with both the Summer in a Bottles, we play a lot with Gewürztraminer, which is a German grape originally, and it has that really great when you're swirling it. That's what I always tell people to really emphasize. You're really going to catch that floral, aromatic, like big sensation of the Gewürz on the nose, and then you'll dive into the other varietals on the palate.
Yeah. You know, when I first opened the store, I think New York was the third biggest grape growing area in the country.
Yeah.
And it surprised me when I was doing my research, but I think you guys have lots of, I think it's Welch's up there.
I'm not, what'd you say, Welch's?
Welch's, yeah.
Like grape juice?
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
well, for growing grapes.
Yeah, well, Charlotte, you have a long history of grape growing, certainly in Long Island, but also in upstate, as Allison mentioned, in the Finger Lakes, and then even going west towards Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, and then over the border into Canada as well. So when you travel southwest on your way to kind of the border of Pennsylvania and Western New York, you will see farms that have signs saying, you know, Concord grapes used for Welch's jam and jelly, whatever. And that's, you know, kind of what drove the grape growing business in New York for, you know, maybe 50, 60 plus years. It was a lot of the grapes that were indigenous to North America, like Concord and like Niagara, other little grapes like that, that are North American grapes, not what we consider wine grapes necessarily.
Right.
And incidentally, not only people like Wölffer, which is relatively modern, but also people in the Finger Lakes from the late 70s who were German immigrants as well, sort of introduced wine grapes to New York State, or reintroduced them in a lot of ways. And we're able to do a lot of those wines in the Finger Lakes, which is several hours west from, you know, northwest from where Long Island is. But, you know, then in turn, people start planting vineyards in Long Island and start planting things like Chardonnay and Riesling and Gewürztraminer. And I've seen people growing Syrah. I've seen people trying all sorts of different stuff in Long Island, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. But the one thing I was going to add when Allison was talking as well is to think about Long Island as a maritime community in a lot of ways as well. And it's not like Provence. The weather is not the same necessarily. But I think when people hear New York, they think that it's going to be cloudy all the time and it's going to be cold all the time. That is not the case in the summers, for sure, in New York, especially not in and around New York City in July and August. And in
July, you know, the country cities.
Yeah.
Because it is significant to being able to get the amount of sunlight and degree days necessary to make wine such as this, because they have a lot of trouble in the Finger Lakes sometimes growing certain varietals and getting them to ripen all the way. Merlot would actually be probably a good example of that. So maybe Allison can talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, and I mean, the great part about Long Island growing is also the weather is amazing, and we're about 2 miles from the beach, so we get these great breezes in. We get just a balanced. Our growing season is so balanced. This vintage in 2019 because it was one of our best vintages to date. So this Summer in a Bottle is really special. But we had we get just enough rain, but just enough of these like high heats that really stretches and gives the grapes this like extra. Just the greatness and the richness of the flavor is really reflected in that by the weather that we get there in the summer.
Well, speaking of Summer in the Bottle, we've kind of already gotten into our bottle.
Yes.
So everybody that's watching, if you haven't gotten into your bottle, get into your bottle. I assume that most people, I see Kilmore is watching, and Megan and Suzanne. There's a lot of people watching that I hope have opened their bottles. And so it's a beautiful bottle to begin with. Let's just start off with that. But it's tastes incredible as well. Allison, will you tell us a little bit about the grapes that's in it and how it's made?
Sure. Yeah. So this is summer in a bottle is what we are known for at Wölffer Estate. If anybody knows, that's the first original thing that they know. And I love to say, like, just as beautiful as it is on the outside and energetic, it's just like that in your mouth as well. And it's really it's a wine that reflects the spirit of the Hamptons, but the spirit of life. And it's a really fun wine to drink. And I love that, like you said, like it's just got so much going on, very balanced. When we first made this wine, we started off with making it with predominantly Merlot from our vines, and then we jumped in and added a little Chardonnay, some Cab Franc, and the Gewürztraminer. So if you're tasting at home, if you grab a quick scent on the nose, you can get the Gewürz immediately. It's what you'll get, that ripe, that fruit, that little bit of floral aromatics there as well, just that sensation of the Gewürztraminer. Now this year, 2019, one of our winemakers, and I've been with the winery for about 6 years, and this is the best vintage that I have had of our summer in a bottle. It is outrageous. We had one of our most amazing growing seasons last year, just the perfect weather, nice heat, like a month and a half with absolutely no rain, just enough to stretch it, really give the grapes a lot of character and texture. And so now we're making the summer in a bottle we have, like I said originally, Merlot, Chardonnay, Cab Franc, and Gewürztraminer. But this year our winemaker, who is a big blender, loves to play around with varietals, added a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc, about 2% Sauvignon Blanc, 2% Riesling, a little Pinot Meunier, and then also some Cab Franc in there as well with the Gewürztraminer. So it's a big blend, as we'll talk about in the Finca as well. Super well blended, super exciting. Just grab a little sip if you're there with me live. Get it on.
Yes. So
We'll grab another sip.
Yeah, grab it. I know. I'm like, let's have a little.
For me, you really captured it because obviously the label, as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow, I want to have that just for the bottle alone. But then knowing more about the estate and the vineyard, I knew that I would like it because I obviously have loved the Finca. So when we got this, the energy of the bottle immediately, I mean, it's got crabs on it, it's got flowers on it, it's got all kinds of ornate details that just kind of capture this amazing, like, oh my God, that's summer, that's excitement. And like you say, energy. And that's the first thing that I saw when I saw this bottle felt when I saw that bottle was just the energy of like, wow, that looks so cool. But I'm fascinated by the blending of all the different grapes. Like to have it's seven, right? Am I right? Yes, 7 grapes all blended together, and to have that smooth and it not be super sweet and not be, I mean, it's just a really, really good, solid rosé for
balanced is what I like to say, because some wines, like you said, we're not really into sweet anymore. Like we want to just enjoy, and we want wine to be an ingredient in what we're eating too, which is great. We want it to be an ingredient to life, an ingredient to the experience of what we're dining on as well. And if you had something that was maybe a little too sweet or a little too dry, it might throw off that balance of what you want when you're having a meal or just sipping it. And you can have this as a standalone. It's just really well balanced and reflects the essence of the bottle. And it's just fun to drink, like just as fun being as on the outside as it is on the inside. Really like a fun and balanced one.
Yeah.
Well,
There's something about that bottle. It just, I mean, people without even trying it are just like drawn. Like I have to have it. I don't know what it is. And then like you said, I mean, you're drawn to the bottle, but as soon as you taste the wine, you're hooked. Absolutely.
I think summer in a bottle is a perfect name for it as well, because even if you're in Long Island or you're in the tri-state area of New York, I'm a native New Yorker, so I can speak to this a little bit. After December, January, February, March, April, sometimes even May, frequently we have snow in May in parts of New York, especially where I grew up around Syracuse, New York. We want summer really badly. And also everybody in the country right now wants summer. It's like now. And I think that it's a perfect time for us to experience this because we want that sense, we want that exuberance, and we want that ability to just be relaxed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way you feel maybe every April and May when you're living in New York, when you kind of want, summer to come around. So it's a perfect sort of description for what they're doing in the bottle and why the wine has been successful. But, you know, it might also be like the same sort of equivalent to why Southerners, I think, go more crazy for pumpkin spice lattes than any other place in the country. Because it's been 99 degrees for like 4 months straight, and they want to drink
and it's still 85
immediately. And I can tell you again, being a New Yorker, like I've never seen so much pumpkin spice lattes being drunk since I moved to Florida. It's like people want fall so badly. And I think that this rosé is kind of like that. It's an embodiment in the bottle, but also it's about that sensibility. And also it's kind of the rosé that launched 1,000 rosés, you know, like Allison said, you know, it's relatively, newer winery in the grand scheme of things. There's wineries in Burgundy that have been there for 300 years, but there's really been no sense of rosé in the United States really until I think Wölffer kind of put this wine on the map. And then there's even people making their own Hamptons rosé wines. I won't say who they are, but they play guitars for a living. You can probably find out, or you may already know who they are. So anyway, it's kind of like that. It's kind of a famous thing in that way as well, because it's sort of launched the rosé kick for at least United States rosé. So I think that's fun as well, as not only being delicious, but also being uniquely American as well, which is something that rosé has not really been able to say really ever. So
that's a great point.
Absolutely.
That'll bring us into the Argentinian rosé. How about that?
Yeah.
What a segue.
And I think
So I have a confession to make. I was actually drinking the Finca Estate before this. And it's a huge difference. So if anybody's out there got both bottles, I mean, you'll be able to tell right away. This one has got a lot of richness, a lot of depth. To me, the Finca is like almost just true French in style. It's super, it's not super dry. It's dry, but it's got a lot of interest to it as well.
Like body, a little more depth, some really cool layering here too, which I like about the Finca. So if you have your Finca, hey.
Yeah, we got our Finca.
Sip on the summer. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, how did Wölffer Estate and Christopher Wölffer end up finding property in Argentina? Why? I mean, how did that? What was the connection to Argentina?
So Christian Wölffer, he was a big dreamer. He loved everything he did. He had all these really wild visions, and he just always had the area of Mendoza, Argentina. He just dreamed of having a winery there. So he just executed that dream by going there and deciding, hey, I'm going to go into Dominico del Plata in Mendoza, Argentina, and I'm going to buy about 200 acres here, and let's see what happens. And they're so they grow amazing Malbec there. So that was one of the first things that they planted. And then there's some other things we'll talk about that are in there as well. And he partnered with Susana Balboa on this project, and they
She's very famous.
Yeah, she's a amazing famous winemaker, and they partnered on this in our winemaker Roman. So you'll notice very similar styles with the Summer in a Bottle and the Finca, blending, all about the blending and having fun. But obviously the area of Argentina grows so differently, but still very similarly with like the excessive heat. They have about 300 sunny days a year, which is amazing for growing. So with the Finca, you'll find it's a predominantly Malbec Rosé, and then we have a little bit of Syrah, Pinot Noir, Cab Sauvignon, Torrontés, and Chardonnay. So the Malbec really being as the main grape versus the Summer in a Bottle, which is Merlot, you can really notice the difference in the change and taste the climates and the different places that we're growing, but in the same similar elegant Wölffer style, which is really fun to just experience those textures and layers of Mendoza in there as well. Yeah.
How many grapes are in the Finca Wölffer, the rosé?
There are, in this vintage, there are 6, I believe I just stated.
6 in this one?
1, 2, 3.
I know Suzanne had a question, so I don't want to defer back to the last one, but I definitely want to answer this question while we're in the tasting zone. So the Summer in a Bottle had 7 different grapes in it. It was Merlot, Chardonnay, Gewurz, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and then the Riesling as well. And this one is close, but it still was 6 or 7, I think, right? With the Malbec, the Pinot Noir, the Syrah, the Pinot Gris, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and then Torrontés.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's good. That's got everybody covered on what
so
grapes there are.
Your question.
I'll never remember them all, and that's how I usually tell people.
I had them written down.
I have my notes. So, like a good student, I made my notes earlier so I could defer.
When we do these at the, because we've done the Finca Wölffer at the wine tastings just when people are in the store, and I always have a little note right there of all the grapes because it's impossible to remember them all. If you say them, you might remember it.
Charlotte, I thought that everybody who sells the wine is supposed to know every single thing about the wine. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? I thought that's what it is. I know that I try to do that. I don't know if I always, no. But I also wanted to point out a little bit about the similarities in talking about Northern and Southern Hemisphere here a little bit. Not to get too technical, but I think it's really interesting that Wölffer does Torrontés in Argentina and does Gewürztraminer in New York. We think about Gewürztraminer when we think about Germany, Italy, Austria, places like that near the Alps. And then Torrontés is, I think is exclusively Argentinian, but they're really two unique white grapes that add such an exuberance to the wine and add a floral aspect to the wine. That's why when you put your nose in both these wines, it's complex right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's not an insipid style of rosé that, which is fine. Sometimes we want that and we want to just crash out in the backyard and just go to town. But when we add something like Gewürztraminer in the Northern Hemisphere and then Torrontés in the Southern Hemisphere, it really adds a great balance to what the winery is doing. And also I wanted to just point out, and Allison can talk about this a little bit, one of the Wölffer sort of mottos, and hopefully I have this right, is that is it summer somewhere or summer someplace?
Wow.
And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, about how Northern and Southern Hemisphere work a little bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually jumped right ahead of my notes. I love it. This is why we're a good team. So we decided, summer in a bottle usually sells out like super fast when in New York, but now we have it all year round. So we wanted to make a really fun, drinkable, year-round rosé. So we named the Finca Summer Someplace is its line. So no matter where you are, it's always going to be summer. You can always just tap into that summertime no matter where you are. So that was really kind of our tagline for this one as well.
I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a good tagline.
I know, you hit on this, Michael, in New York, and definitely for our Pacific Northwest friends that we talked through last week with Willamette Valley Vineyards. It's still cold. When I lived in Portland, it was still 40 degrees in the morning in late May. And so when you think about summer in a bottle, not everybody is as lucky as we are here in the beautiful state of Florida to have gorgeous, 75, 80 degree weather.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Mid-March. The last 6 weeks has been incredible. Beautiful, sunny, warm days. And I know all of us are itching to get back to our Florida lifestyle of fun in the sun. So,
well, and one thing I'll ask you about this real quick, since we in Florida, we sit on the beach, we take the boat out, we sit by the pool. I'm sure you guys do that up in New York too, but we do a lot here. And so you have a product that is in a can, which you need a lot of. I wish you put the rosé in a can, but I love the cider as well. Can you tell us about the cider?
Yes. So here it is. Oh, you have some too. Amazing. So this is one of you can see it in the background too. We actually have it in a bottle too, but that's my backdrop. So this is our dry rosé cider. So our winemaker Roman started making apple juice for the kids as they were younger, for Joey and Mark when they were younger. And so we started blending these apples in Halsey Farm, which is about 2 miles from us. So we handpick all of the apples. Right now we're handpicking about 3 million apples a year for this product, which is amazing. Wow. Once again, everything done by hand. So what we're doing with the rosé cider is we're blending a variety of apples, but if you taste it, it's dry. So it's not sweet at all in typical our winemaker fashion. But the cool thing about this is it's a very elegant cider because what we do is we add Epernay, which is a champagne yeast, to the production. So it's like a champagne cider. So you get these really soft elegant bubbles, but with these just crisp, refreshing apples. They're really, and it's a 6.9 alcohol, so it's not as high as a wine. It's really relaxed. It is amazing when you're out in the sun or on the boat, like you said, in Florida, just kind of relaxing, kicking back. But it's super food friendly too across the board. And it's nice to just grab a can, pop it open. Maybe if you're not in the mood for a full glass of wine or you want to try something different, but it's made in a really high-end wine style. So you're not going to get like what you're thinking. Some people, I always have to say, don't worry, it's not sweet. Like, it's really dry and elegant and just crisp and just vivacious with these beautiful bubbles that dance on the palate.
I had it last weekend, walked downtown to grab some tacos to go.
Oh, nice.
And put it over ice, and it was lovely. I mean, it was, you know, it held up its own to the ice, you know, as it started to melt, and it was perfect.
I love that
Yeah,
you said
no,
tacos.
we're always. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I love that you say tacos too, because one of my favorite things to have is something with a little bit of heat with this, because it just really cuts in, and it's like the perfect ingredient for something with a little spice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's perfect for us, and you know, certainly in New York, but definitely in Florida, where we've got a lot of no glass, restrictions against us. So if you're getting on the boat, or if you are going to the pool or going to the beach with the kiddos,
you'll get fined at the beach. You know,
that's
if you've got glass. So,
absolutely.
Although the beaches just are opening, so we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Exciting. Awesome.
Yeah. So we've got this in a can that you can pick up and take with you, and navigate that, get away from the glass. So I think we kind of skipped over the Argentina Rosé and hopped over to that. Do we want to go back to that and talk about that for a few more minutes?
Yeah, let's tell us more about this. Quick question. I know Carol Moore is watching, and she was asking about the Chardonnay that Wölffer Estate does, and whether or not we can get that. We do have the white blend in that's Chardonnay based. Do you do 100% Chardonnay? And what other ones are in the Florida market that we might be interested in, reds or whites, either way?
So we have a 100% Chardonnay, all steel fermentation, yellow label Chardonnay that's available in the portfolio as well. That comes 100% from our vines, all Chardonnay grapes, just really steel fermentation to just play off of the grapes. I believe it actually sees a smidge time in oak just to give it a really fun complexity, but we really wanted to emphasize the structure and the elegance of the Chardonnay grapes. So that is available. Michael can help you with that one. He's amazing at that. And then we also have a Cabernet Franc that is one of my favorite varietals that we grow. It may be coming back in stock soon, but it's a Cabernet Franc with a little bit of Merlot blended in there. It's about
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that one's really fun as well. You have the white blend, like you said. The white blend is really fun for Chardonnay drinkers too, because it's predominantly Chardonnay, but you have Pinot Blanc, which is really light in there, a little Pinot Gris, some Grenache in there. I love to tell people that if you like Sauvignon Blanc, if you like Chardonnay, try the summer white. It's very different, and I think I've had so many people that are strict Chardonnay drinkers really like it because of the balance, and because it is mainly Chardonnay, and there's a couple other things that give it this really nice, smooth texture as well.
Carol, we have that in stock, so come and try the summer white.
And Finca Wölffer is doing a red now as well. So there's there's an Argentinian red wine that is just been released, I think maybe a week and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. So just not that long ago. And I think is that all 100% Malbec?
That is, I'm pulling up the varietal so I can review. Yeah, here we go. So that is a 89% Malbec. And then we have a little bit of Torontis in there as well, but it's from a different division that we pull it from, just to kind of like blend it out and change it up. So that I can show you is going to be, now this is a really great chilled red. I don't know if you have it yet, but it's a chilled Finca red.
No, but I love it.
Very
nice
in there. Now, it's not a typical like red wine that you would drink. You would let kind of like open up. This one is amazing, just super cold at a really nice temperature, just like a chilled red. And something with summer too.
Chillable reds seem like a real trend right now, and kind of a new way that people are going. And you're right, for Florida, I mean, we love our reds here, but in the summer when it's so hot, I think these chillable reds are kind of going to be our niche.
Yeah. And it's nice. It's nice just that you can have red wine in this new way, in this new style, and something to kind of play around with. So yeah, we're really excited about that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds exciting. Well,
Yeah.
we really appreciate your time, and we are looking forward to maybe trying some of those new ones, and
Definitely.
can't wait. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, Allison, thank you so
Awesome.
much for joining us, and Michael, as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, bye guys. Thank you so much again.
Have an
Bye.
amazing week.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that
was
fun.
I know. It's such a cool, I mean, they really touched on the fact that the energy of the bottle of Summer in a Bottle, like,
Yeah.
the label captures you immediately.
Oh,
But
yeah,
then
for
when
sure.
the wine, when you try the wine, and that's what I love, you know, you think, oh, it's got a cool label, it may not be that good. But then you try it and it's exceptional, and it's it really just hits all those needs of crisp and delicious and
Yeah,
balanced.
what's so cool is that not only is it a cool bottle, but it's a cool wine.
Yeah.
And so we're lucky in that respect. And like I said, we've always had the Finca Rosé in for quite some time, and it's sold very well. And then the Summer in the Bottle is kind of taking it to a next level, I'd say. Just
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
upping it a little.
It does have the Finca does have those French elements. So, you know, I always kind of compared it mentally in a lot of ways to some other wine, Miraval or some other French rosés.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's wonderful, you know, definitely a great price point.
Yeah. So we didn't say the prices. The Finca Wölffer is 16. Summer Ball is 27.
That's right.
And then the cans are
$5.
$5 or something like that. So, and I did enjoy the cider this week. It's definitely different. It's not something that you're gonna, you know,
normally a
enjoy with
cider
a meal
person.
or something.
Yeah.
It's more like, because it's a cider.
Yeah.
But it's delicious, and it's something that's more kind of a fun daytime kind of like
It definitely,
taco, like I said, tacos and.
Yeah, it definitely was a daytime. It was refreshing and crisp and a nice just palate cleanser. You know, it was a hot day. I think I tried one, you know, this past weekend, you know, hanging out with the kiddos, and it was a hot day, and just that crispness was delicious. But I'm not normally a cider person, so I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
Well, we have it in stock.
We do?
Unfortunately, we sold out of both of the wines tonight.
We did.
Twice.
Yes. I've got a lot
twice.
list.
But we do have a list of those people that did special orders, and we'd be happy to take special orders for you, and we'll definitely keep it in stock as long as it's available. The Summer in the Bottle does sell out throughout the year, and so you're not able to get it. That's why they made the Wölffer Estate. And it's delicious as well. So it's summer anytime, I think, with it. I will say we've got some ideas for next week.
We do.
So I think that we're going to have to, we're going to do this again next week. We're still experimenting on this and seeing how it's going and stuff. But we're still going to continue the virtual wine tastings.
Yeah, I think probably at least for next week.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe we'll feel comfortable having you guys come in and we'll drink wine together. If not, we'll have another one of these.
Absolutely, yes.
But so next week we've decided we're going to do Left Coast Cellars, which I've been there. It's a family-run business in Willamette Valley, Oregon, and this is their white Pinot Noir. We've done Pinot Noirs. We've done some Pinot Noirs the last couple times actually, but nobody's seen a white Pinot Noir. It's very unique. I'll tell you, when I discovered it, it was at the Seville Wine Festival, and I was pouring it, and it was the most unique wine at the tasting, which I was excited to try. And so we grabbed it for this week. We may also do their regular Pinot Noir. We'll see. And I'll tell you about my visit out there. Sat down with lunch with the son's owner, and he's just a super nice little guy, and they have these very interesting trees, and so it should be a fun tasting next week. And come in before then. Don't let it get sold out again, because unfortunately some people missed out on the Summer in a Bottle because we couldn't keep it in stock. But we've got plenty of this for now. Come in, grab a bottle, and we'll drink it together next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a fun time having you guys join us, and we can't wait to talk through this one with you next week.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.